when you produce with somebody next to you, it'll also make you seem like you're a great producer. But for some niggas, it's just like then when it comes time to do it by themselves with no collaboration, you see the flaws. Kind
It's
of thing.
interesting that you brought that up. That's definitely something that we should definitely touch on.
Oh yeah,
Um, there's like producer collabs definitely have taken off in a way I didn't expect over the last few years. Like you look at
yeah,
like any of these big records, and yeah, and like three, four people like credited on production, which I always thought was interesting.
yeah. I think it's a lot to do with producers getting in the game of just trying to compose stuff for
Yep.
other producers to sample. So, Al Khalik was probably the first kind of guy I heard doing that. Obviously, it's been done before, and not every or musicians can produce. So if as long as a musician plays something and sends it to someone, it's kind of like the same thing. But like for a guy like Frank Dukes, who I know was actively producing, you know what I mean, producing hip hop music, and then take a step back to kind of look at the business side, deal with bad not good, like signing them and shit like that. But then figuring out, oh, okay, I can make these compositions and just send them to Boy Wonder, send them to this guy, send them to this guy, and then they could chop them up, and then boom, I'm a credited producer. Like he's obviously a well capable producer on
Yeah,
his own, but it's just like,
I remember him in like them like big tune beat battles, and
yep,
I mean nobody who's known him or known of him prior to I don't know 6 7 years ago, like no nobody can question his ability
oh yeah,
to get in the lab and go crazy on the beats, and it's dope that he's kind of just expanded his portfolio, so to speak, in so many different avenues, and
mm-hmm.
like the music library in particular. Like I can only imagine how much money you're making off of that.
Oh yeah, the Kingsway shit is killing right now, and it's even like there's a couple youths from Remix that are now interning. Like a couple of my youths that came from my program, they interned for him and helped design some of the Kingsway libraries. They even have some of these youths even have their own libraries within the Kingsway. So it's almost like
Right?
he's created this kind of empire of sample making,
Right?
which is great. It's like it lets you know that okay, even if you don't produce the biggest hits or you can't get to the biggest artists, you can still find ways to contribute and get in. Like I think that was his in. If he didn't do that, he would have just had, he had already had done like a Ghostface album and shit like that with Bad Not Good. He had done work with 50 Cent. He had worked with like a lot of guys either past their prime or like just but well-known rappers, but just a little past their prime, right? And then this kind of like just now it's like one track kind of like got him into the place where now he's in rooms with Post Malone and created his probably Post Malone's biggest single. Congratulations. He done
He
probably
did that. Yeah.
he did Congratulations with Murda. I think he did Havana for Camila Cabello,
Yeah.
Young Thug. I think he did most of Camila Cabello's album. Like it doing that got him into so many rooms. So it's I was always looking at that like wow, like shit. Maybe niggas really need to start doing that. And
Oh, like
yeah, I mean, like maybe
bro,
fuck my beats, bro. Like
at one point, like you like I could not go 4 or 5 hours without hearing Havana, and and on one level, it's like, man, this I'm really annoyed just hearing this record all day. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, yo, but Frank's eating off of that shit,
yeah,
so so it's all support, yo.
yeah. Not like that for a lot of songs that I start hating because they play so much. It's like I realize I don't hate it because of the song. I hate it because it's played so much.
Right,
But
right.
like it's yeah, every time I would hear something like even like 0 to 100, what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I'm just like, wow, like I know I have that sample. I had that sample for a while before Frank Dukes even really thought of putting the Kingsway or titling Kingsway and putting it together. It's just like a lot of these samples that I hear on songs, I like had them in my library. J. Cole Planes,
Right.
with Jeremiah or whatever. Like I have that sample. Like I'm just like, wow, it's crazy how many people. And then I remember one time I was like, quick story. I was in LA with Laura Quest. The homie
Shout
Boss.
out to Quest.
Yeah, shout out Lord Quest. Boss from Dreamville invited us to come through, play some beats, and we went to this mansion. I don't know if it was Hidden Hills or wherever it was, but went there, played him some beats, and I remember we were going downstairs because Boss's brother, who manages J. Cole, it was his birthday. So they're like, yo, come downstairs, let's all smoke, da da da. So as I'm going downstairs, I see their producer. I forget what his producer's name is. It's like a lead or something, like a white dude.
Yeah.
And he's in the room. I had to, like, I don't know. I felt like if I say he's white, somebody would be like, yeah, this is the guy in the comments, but I guess not.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can play that kind of thing.
Right? But like we passed by this guy's room and he's making beats and I'm hearing the sample. I'm like, isn't this I'm like, yo, who'd you sample for that? He's like, oh, this thing called Kingsway. I'm like, oh, my man Frank Dukes. He's like, yeah, I don't know who that is, but he makes some good samples. That was just crazy. And it's the same sample that I had heard a year ago. Like I have the sample, but a year ago I was performing at South by Southwest, opening up for a not even known then Tinashe.
Crazy.
Because Tinashe had a set with DJ Mustard, and the song that she performed was a Frank Dukes. It was on a Frank Dukes sample. So when she got off stage, I'm like, yo, like I like that beat. I've sampled that. Like my boy Frank Dukes. See, in hindsight, I should have just tried to chop her instead of talking about music. But you know, shoot or shoot. You know,
right?
I'll get a next shot next time.
But
100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
If you think about it, Rich, like if you walk into a room, like why are you not gonna have like samples from like some of the best producers you know, like back home? You know, it's just like opens so many possibilities.
Yeah, no, real shit. It just surprised me how far Frank's stuff was reaching, and I was proud, bro, because I've seen Frank from the mud get it. So we've had conversations of just trying to make it. So to see that he actually broke through in a different kind of way, not necessarily just going to niggas and, yo, here's beats, but almost helping some of these hits being made. So in turn, now he can make his own hits. Brilliant. It's great.
Yeah, no, he's got his fingerprints on everything, and he did it in a very unconventional way. I mean, I think a lot of producers, especially young producers, are all kind of conditioned to think there's kind of just one like main way to come up, and it's like you got to get your placements. You got to somehow slide Drake or slide whoever that beat CD and kind of cross your fingers and hope that he sees the vision and so forth. Right. And there's cats like Frank who doing the whole sound library thing and I guess if you sort of include everything like that Kingsway is doing, I'd be interested to like check out his Wikipedia page if he's got one. I just want to see how long that discography extends.
I can get that for you, and we can share screen.
Martin's the fact checker.
Right? I just imagine that this dude like I see his name everywhere, and
went on a fucking
it's kind of that when like your favorite rap group or your favorite artist, you discovered them when no one really knew about them. And once they get put on, and then you're kind of like, yo, that's my guy, man. Like
that is ridiculous.
Most producers will be very lucky if they get a couple big ones in their career.
It's ridiculous.
I'm still waiting for my big.
He got all the heavy hitters, the J. Cole's, the Drakes, there's missing on there is a Hov and Nas to have the classic OGs. But I feel like he has probably.
For all we know, he probably has that joint sitting in the vault somewhere that that shit'll somehow get leaked in like 2026 or some shit.
Right.
Actually, since you brought that up, that'd be a good look. I would very much like the idea of hearing Nas on all Frank.
A Nas Frank Dukes album? Holy fuck!
bro. Like,
I might just have to like DM him right now and be like, "You, Nas,
bro, like,
because I'm
back in his gully bag,
right,
dog. It's a
because
wrap.
I'm already I was slightly impressed with the last Nas album, like way more impressed than I was with the Nasir with him and Kanye. So I feel like Nas works better if he's just with one producer. Like I feel like he can tap into more things. You feel more dynamic.
Well, yeah. I mean, I skimmed through that record, and you know, it. I definitely enjoyed it, like from a sonic standpoint, much more than shit. Like damn near everything he's done in the last 6, 7, 8 years.
His last good album was Life Is Good. I felt like that was his last good album.
See,
and even then, I don't revisit it as much, but I revisit certain songs. Certain songs still slap. Daughters, Bye Baby, fucking Nas the Don. Like there's some hard fucking shit on Life Is Good.
Man, the wild thing with Nas is that, I mean, he was always been one of my favorite rappers of all time, and you know, everyone loves Illmatic, everyone loves It Was Written, and so forth. But it kind of got to the point where he kind of just hasn't been on my radar personally in a very long time. And the only reason I even checked the last one is because, you know, motherfuckers on Twitter were assuring me that he finally got some dope beats, like not just like one or two per record, but like throughout.
Yeah.
And you know, while it didn't blow me away as album of the year or nothing like that, honestly, I respect it. You know.
Well, like with Nas, it's kind of like, what more is there to say?
I think with him and you know guys like him and Hove and Eminem, they're at that level where they're beyond reproach. Like it doesn't matter like how good or not good whatever they put out is. You know, their fans are always going to buy it.
Their fans are the
You
fans.
know, they're like they're made men, and you know that's a very luxurious position to be in. So
especially Eminem, because I rewatched that movie Venom the other night, and like I forgot that he did the title track, or he did like and it came on at the end, and I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" You know, I was like, "This song is wow." This song sounds like a cartoon. Like it's very zany, and like it just. And I'm like, is this the Eminem like I grew up? It's not the Eminem I grew up on, or it's just I changed, or I don't know what's happening, but it's not good. Why did it leave the studio? You know what I mean?
I think part of it, and Eminem is a very interesting example of. Now, he was a guy that I used to be obsessed with when
I loved Eminem.
When I was in like my teenage years, like you know. And the interesting thing now is that I guess some of those joints that you know, like that I really fucked with growing up, haven't really aged that well in this era. But you know, you take it for what it is. But at some point, you know, he decided, you know what, I'm gonna start singing all my hooks, and you know, the like I wish that I could. Like my dream was always, I wish I could executive produce one of his albums, where I get to pick all the names, like doing the beats and so forth. But it always angered me, just as a fan, that you know this dude is you know top 5, top 10 richest or most successful like rappers in history.
He's probably the most successful rapper in history.
Maybe next to Jay-Z, maybe.
Like, but I mean, like solely off of rap. Jay-Z's successful off rap, but then his businesses brought him way beyond that. I feel like Eminem has made, like he has other business adventures, but it's music that's been his main. He's not like he's a Dr. Dre where it's like he has headphones or he's selling vodka. Like all he does is sell rap.
I agree, but that's what makes it frustrating, because it's like, okay, his fans like he invented the term stan. Like a lot of these kids don't know that he literally invented that term. And
there would be no standing if there was not for that video and that song.
And that was an incredible song. Like that was one of his top 5 best songs
It's
in my
a
opinion ever.
brilliant song. Like I remember listening to it like and getting chills. Like you can listen to it now and still get chills. That's a song that will forever be a classic in hip hop.
100%. So it kind of bothers me that he's reached that level where he's beyond reproach, where he can do whatever he wants at this point. So
He can fart on the mic and it'll still go platinum.
right. So I wish that he would be like, you know what, I've made I've sold 100 million records or whatever the fuck he's done. Let me do at least one record for the niggas who like complain about my shit all the time. Like,
but that's the thing. He thinks he's doing that though. That's what he thinks he's doing. That's why he's like so rapidy rap. Like he's just trying to rap. And it's like it's weird because it's like that's what we say we want. But do we really want rapidy rap, or do we want rap that just makes us like I don't know. Like I know what I want, but like every motherfucker is different, right? So I don't think, you know,
and
Eminem.
Honestly, my tastes have changed too. You know, like I've kind of evolved from, you know, you listen to guys who just bar out at all times, and nowadays I'm kind of just like cool, you got your bars, but yo, I don't know.
Where the vibe at?
Like yo, I get annoyed personally when like I got a rule with everybody that I work with: don't rap about rap. You know, like that shit.
I'm the dopest on the lyrical scheme.
Yeah, like
my lyrical AK spits lyrics and bullets.
Like I don't ever want to hear the words lyrical, verbal. Like I never want to hear them shits on a track.
Or you know, I have to start using other words. I use adjectives and nouns.
Right.
Proverb.
Right. You know, it's like, you know, like if you're somebody like, I don't know, like Elzai or someone like that, like I might give you a pass to do it like once on your 12-track record, but you know, I'm more interested in.
But even then, songs. We don't want to hear those guys say the word lyrical. Right. It's just like when you say that, it's almost like it's very, I don't know. It's just
lyrical is one of those like freestyle crutch lines that I'd try to do, or I'd try to use whenever like I was falling off or I couldn't think of shit.
Lyrical, spiritual, miracle. You know, it was always Cheerio box ingredients rap shit. Thank you, Quacker.
Yeah, but it's, you know, like I want to hear folks. Like I want to hear folks use words that they would use in real life.
Yeah,
you know,
and just put them together different.
Like when you hear a Kendrick Lamar song, like if you take away the beat and the actual like stuff that raps, you know, you could kind of construe it as him having a conversation with someone, and that's dope. You know, it doesn't feel forced or that he's trying to distract you with his multi-syllables. That's another term I can't stand anymore.
Syllable.
Right?
Syllable can work with lyrical and miracle if you're like a Lil Wayne and you like twist the word.
Right. But it's funny because like I always appreciated a guy like Jay-Z who would completely change the pronunciation of certain words to make the shit rhyme.
Yep.
But you do it in such a cool way that it, you know,
you allow it.
It didn't bother you.
You had to allow it.
Yeah. No.
And then I feel like Wayne took that, but then Lil Wayne took it too far. Like there was like
I fuck with Wayne though.
I love Wayne, but like he would like he would pronounce words like it's like nobody on earth would have pronounced that word like that. You just pronounce it like that, but then he'll apologize for it. He's like, "Oops, I mean this way." No, you remember that Lil Wayne flow? That was like dedication.
Yeah.
Dedication 2, dedication 3. And then I mean marriage. Oh, I mean marriage. Me marriage.
Bro,
and then I was just like, Lil Wayne, come on, man.
Like his verse on that Yeezy record, Barry Bonds, like he does that shit like
that's where the line was from Barry Bonds, yeah. Yeah, but
It was dope though.
his verse was dope. Interestingly enough, it was my favorite beat. I like the hook, but it's not my favorite track. It was like one of my least favorite tracks on Graduation. But
That song,
but that just tells you how great Graduation was because it's still a good
honestly,
track.
and I mean, honestly, I would have to go back and re-listen to that album again. Because I remember really, really liking Barry Bonds, but it was weird. Like I really liked it, but I felt like it was incomplete. Like there's something just like missing from it. It's
Yeah,
really,
it was just
you know,
Ye and Wayne rapping on a beat, and
yeah.
not their best raps. It was kind of like they're
I mean,
just
there's
swagging
no.
on it.
I
They're
mean,
swagging on it.
there's no story. There's nothing to it.
There's
It was
nothing. Yeah,
just braggadocious
it was,
bars,
it was
which
just it was tagged onto the album because the beat still had that stadium sound when
bro.
those
And
horns
I
come
think
in
that
on
was
the hook.
not. I think that was Knots on that shit, if I remember
Nuts. It was
correctly.
nuts. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, but that's. I
That
mean,
no, that beat was fucking. Oh my god. That beat's stupid. So I understand. It has its place. I still respect what Barry Bonds is supposed to do. And then I remember when Drake rapped on that for comeback season and shit. I was just like, oh, you bringing this beat back? I love it. I was just like, I didn't even know they had an instrumental. I was like,
right.
I was just, but then lo, did we know he already knew Ye. So
Yeah, but I think that was one of the last albums that Ye did that I really kind of like went out of my way to check
which one?
for. Like Graduation. Like
Wow,
in my opinion.
that's when you stopped.
Um,
So
I mean,
you didn't fuck with like Dark Fantasy and shit.
can I confess something to you? I've
Yeah.
never actually listened to it beginning to end. Like, that was
Hmm.
man, you had that shit queued up.
There's classic albums I haven't listened to front and back, so I'm not even surprised.
But
More so,
but it's
more so
not
like did you just get kind of like tired of Kanye the person, and then got
well
tired of the
for
music, or was it
me
the music?
it was like I love. I mean, everyone loves college dropouts and late registration. Personally, was like I think that's the best shit that he's ever done.
Late Registration is probably my favorite Kanye album.
For me,
I'm a
it's
fan
night.
of niggas' second albums.
Yeah.
Second albums are very underrated. Like a lot of niggas have great second albums.
Oh, for real. I mean, you ask enough people, like a lot of folks really like it was written more than Illmatic.
Yeah.
And while I personally don't agree, I'm not in a position to argue with someone about it. Like
Mm.
that's one of the best, you know, follow up or sophomore albums ever. And ditto for late registration. I think for me, and it wasn't even so much like of a protest, like, I can't stand this fool Kanye anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was around Jesus where I was kind of just like, man, now you kind of just doing shit just to do it. But
But Yeezus is a far away from what there was Dark Fantasy and then Yeezus came out. Yeah, Dark Fantasy was like what 2010 or some shit.
something like that. I mean, I've heard,
Like
obviously
I won't lie.
songs from it.
Kanye almost lost me at fucking 808 and Heartbreaks because I was not a fan of Love Lockdown. I hated it, and I hated the way he was performing it at places. I was just like, am I not gonna fuck with Kanye no more? And then certain songs that came out on there, it's like you couldn't deny Heartless, you couldn't deny Amazing. Like it always felt like good concepts, but never. And like I was just always felt like, yo, there could be an actual better singer. Like singers, John Legend, my nigga. Like, why are you singing all these songs? And then at that time Drake is coming up, and Drake is drawing from that inspiration, loving that album. Like I think me and Drake had an argument about that album, and he used that to kind of fuel his vibe, and then became who he was, right? So then I'm like, it took me probably until after like I don't know, it might have taken me like till Pablo to really like go back to like 808 or Heartbreaks and really appreciate what, like, because I know it's what birthed the new generation of shit, but I was just like, why?
Now, for me, because like I haven't heard 808 and Heartbreak since maybe the week it came out, and I didn't really like it then, but in the back of my mind, and even with Yeezus, I was kind of like, you know what, Kanye is this maniacal genius, and and he's always kind of, you know, like I respect him for always trying to do something new and different and against the grain. So I kind of figured, maybe this is one of those records that I'll like appreciate once I'm older, once I've like lived a little more. So maybe this weekend I'll go back and
Yeah, it's been. I think it's been 10 years, so I think a decade is good, long enough.
long enough for sure.
Revisit something.
But like, just, I mean, just like my criteria of like what I look for in songs, beats nonetheless, but just songs in general has changed, and a lot of the songs that when I was a kid that I hated, like like this shit kind of really slapped, like
I be hearing Backstreet Boys songs now. Like I used to hate as a kid because it was like girls like Backstreet Boys, dudes like fucking Tupac and fucking and fucking rap shit and hard shit, and girls like that fucking boy band shit. Now I hear that shit, I'm like, this shit was great. Like they had a formula, like you respect the formula once you see it works. Once you see the formula in action, you don't understand it, right? You hate on it, even while it's happening and being successful in your eyes, you deny it.
See, and like I knew that I was growing up and my criteria and shit was changing. Like the first time I heard Britney Spears' "Toxic," like.
Oh yeah, I seen you said in an interview. That's your favorite. That's one of your favorite tracks.
Facts. Like 5 years earlier, I would have hated on it, but I heard that shit, and like people ask me sometimes, like, "Yo, like, do you have any like guilty pleasures?" And I'm like, no, because it's like I'm old enough, I'm secure enough in just myself now to be able to tell you, yeah, I fuck with that song. That shit was fire, my nigga.
Yo, real shit. You kind of have to be like certain tracks to admit that you really like them. You had to get some maturity under your level. You felt like you had to be at a certain age where niggas can't say shit.
Yeah,
because even if niggas say shit, you're like, so what? You niggas don't bop to this, and they have to admit, like, niggas bop to shit. We all bop to shit.
Yeah, and it's like, if you take away, or you put your finger over where it says Britney Spears on it, and you just listen to it, not knowing who it is, like that shit objectively slaps.
I think Toxic was produced by Pharrell, though.
Which one?
Toxic?
Nah, it wasn't Pharrell. I thought it was Seven.
I thought it was like J.R. Rodham, but
okay.
I mean,
it might have been J.R. Rodham. J.R. Rodham was on a run, bro. That nigga had a run.
Yeah, no, that dude was in his. I mean, I remember just reading up on some of the shit he was doing, and I think like Scratch magazine back when that was a thing, and I think you kind of, or at least with me, just being who I am, you kind of just expect that producers kind of stay in like their one bag, and you don't realize like, yo, this motherfucker has range, yo. Like you'll do some crazy super pop shit and turn around and make bangers for Snoop, So
right.
No, definitely respect it. I mean, I've always been very
Bloodshy and Avant are the producers.
Yeah,
Bloodshy and Avant. Damn.
Learn something new.
What the fuck else did they do? Like that song. Like the reason I love that song is sounds like it should be in like a Bond movie. Like,
right?
If it has it has that espionage. I call it espionage pop.
I feel
feels like you could go on a mission and shit.
But bro, have you ever heard the OG Bollywood sample? Like they flipped the hell out of that shit.
Oh, so that's what they sampled for it?
Yeah, and that's
it. Kind of sounds like a Bollywood.
That's the thing, because when I first heard it,
it is.
First thing that I thought was, yo, like my nigga James Bond up in pulling up Pro Tools or some shit, And then I came across the sample on YouTube one day, and yeah, just really really clever how they did it and popified it, but just clever shit's clever shit, no matter the genre or whatever.
Yeah, man. I've been in sampling this like Japanese soul. Just been finding these Japanese soul records and just chopping them up and just like fuck, man.
I go through
Worldwide take on like American music is.
I found the sample, so hold on.
Oh, you bought it? Let's play that.
Yeah, run that. Man, I'd be going through phases with just different type of shit that I see. Oh,
hold on. There you go.
Okay.
Dude.
Mm.
It's Lata Mangeshkar.
I can hear where they chopped that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like a hard chopper. That's a hip hop chop right there. Like,
baby, can't you see?
These niggas know, like, they know what
It's dangerous.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah,
oh.
that lead sound or whatever that.
I double dare any of the folks in that chat to listen to that shit and try to pretend like that shit ain't hard.
No, I don't think. I'm looking at the chat. Ain't nobody did. I don't think anybody can diss Toxic. Like it was, like, shit. If you don't like pop, I guess you can say something. That's your preference. You can say you don't think the track is good to you, but that's objectionably it's a well put together track. Like,
yeah, man. There's hella songs.
Like the way it's sampled is good chop. Like the way the beat bangs. It's like,
I like that there's like space in the chopping. Like
right?
Like you said, very very hip hop.
Very hip hop. Very hip hop. Shout out to Britney Spears, man. She could come to the barbecue. She's invited.
Give her the cookout pass, yo.
It's a bop, but Christina Aguilera and Primo still have the greatest pop album of all time. I keep on here. I haven't listened to this album,
Bro.
I only heard the one track. Actually, I heard two tracks, but I haven't heard the whole album.
He did three or four joints on that. I forgot what that album was called. Back to Basics, I think. And there's the joint on there in particular called Thank You, and just classic roads chopped up by Primo. And there's another one called Still Dirty. Fire. I mean, whoever said that in the chats, they've gotten
Quackish. Quackish said that.
Yeah.
So in a versus Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, which is the versus, it's not necessarily for our culture, but for a culture. So you know what I mean? So nobody should say for the culture, because when it says the culture, we mean black people. So it's not for our culture, but it's for a culture. Do we deserve that battle?
Bro, that phrase triggers me, yo. It's like whenever niggas say do some shit for the culture, that usually means do it for free. But that's another story for maybe later on. But shit,
that's not bars. I don't know what it is.
If Britney and Christina do a versus, like Britney's getting washed, like Toxic aside, like that's that's the one joint that she's got, but that shit's not even competitive to me.
Yo, honestly, Christina Aguilera is obviously the better singer. We know that already.
Yeah,
we already know that. That's hands down. But like, I don't know, man. Britney,
are you a fan of like the verses, like joints in general?
Yeah, I can say I liked more of them, or at least the ones I know about, than not like them. So I enjoyed the Beanie Man and Bounty Killer one. That was my favorite one. I enjoyed the Primo and RZA one. I enjoyed the Brandy and Monica one was very sassy. I like that one.
Word.
I like that one. That was
That one was
I
dope.
was you know we all watched it waiting for a scrap. Let's not we wanted to see some boys mine. I thought Mackay Fife would have came out of nowhere like the video and shit. Like I was waiting on that.
Smart, though. It kept him in a secret back room or some shit.
Yeah, but some of the verses have been like kind of boring or shit. But I like them more than I don't like them. How you feel?
Was my favorite one.
Which one?
Jill Scott and Erica. I think that was my favorite one.
That one was dope for me because it was like discovery of shit, like rediscovery of Jill Scott's discography. Because I'm like, oh, I forgot she had these bops. I forgot she had these bangers.
But I mean,
must be the way. I'm like, what the? I forgot about this. Right? Now to my playlist, like, it's me traveling back to those BT earlier days. I'm like, oh shit, Long Walk. Oh, I forgot. Okay, this is not an automatic wash. Still a wash, but not an automatic wash.
See, shit. I mean, I watched the RZA Primo one, and before turning it on, I'd said to myself,
Primo.
Like Primo's gonna wash this. Like I love RZA. He's
Yeah.
one of,
Yep.
I mean, just like Primo, one of my biggest influences and so forth.
Right.
And I figured, well, come on. I mean, Primo's probably has arguably the hardest catalog in hip hop ever. But
Yep.
man, like I'm hearing all these old RZA joints that it's not that I forgot them, but like, yeah, man, that shit really, really was hard. Oh yeah, motherfuckers playing like old like
The mistake we made, because I went for Primo too. The mistake we made was we thought that RZA playing Wu-Tang joints would get tiring, and it didn't, because it's like there's so many different dimensions that you don't think about the dimensions of Wu-Tang when you just talk about them, but when you listen to them, it's like you could go to Iron Man, you could go to Only Built for Cuban Links. You could go to 36 Chambers. You could go to Return to the 36 Chambers.
Well,
you could go to so many different things.
And I think also just for me, just knowing that probably by design, he stayed away from a lot of his more recent stuff, which
he tried it though. He tried it. He tried to put a 1-2 in there, and I was like, yeah.
But by and large, and I don't want to come off as disrespectful, but some of the last Wu-Tang album he did, the Eight
Diagram. No, it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
It had like 2 songs on it, and otherwise it had nothing else on it that made me feel like I'm listening to a Wu-Tang album.
No. They didn't even like it. So the fact that they didn't like it, why should we like something?
Bro, like that fool, like You God, be going on like DJ Vlad on the regular, just trashing.
Why do niggas go to Vlad? Niggas need to stop going to Vlad.
Bro, I don't know, man. He's got that platform. I mean, I enjoy listening to China Mac talk about hood stories, but other than that,
let these other cultures. I'm saying, why do niggas go to Vlad? Like, let these other cultures, if you want, go to Vlad, bro. Vlad's not doing nothing for our culture.
Yeah, but it's also like why do niggas entertain going on everyday struggle?
I think that's a little bit more of a more level platform.
Yeah.
Vlad, niggas get indicted off Vlad. Like, let's keep it real. Like,
that's right.
At least Complex ain't gonna ask you the questions. Vlad asks you questions like it's a deposition, bro. Like, it looks like it actually feels like a deposition now.
Yeah, he's got the camera like angled, and just
like so. When did you commit that crime? On what time and what day?
Bro, the only thing missing from them videos is like one of them dangling light bulbs.
Right.
You know.
This nigga Vlad. This non nigga Vlad.
Yeah, but
Yo,
honestly, but I think it's mostly, like niggas go on Vlad knowing that, well, I don't know, the shit's kind of suspect, but folks will do anything for the views and attention. Most of these shits usually just comes down to attention at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's
So,
real. Yo, let's get into some of your music first, and then I should be asking and interviewing you, but we just because we cool, we just talk about shit all the time.
yeah,
We just got into a whole bunch of I think we went down this just rabbit hole of different conversations, and it's beautiful. I love it. It's
bro,
great.
we went from like the Raptors to Toxic
Right?
to just Vlad.
Oh yeah. Let's not forget the verses, the verses that we deserve.
the culture deserves.
The culture, a culture, not the culture, but a culture. Yeah. So, what track do we have in the vault from EQ?
We have a bunch. Then, any preference, Eloquent?
Just hit that shuffle. Whatever you want.
Harold Bastard.
Yo, that shit hard.
Thank you.
I have not heard that one. What's that track called?
Yeah, I'll send you the whole record after we're done.
Is that from a new record?
Yeah. I put out a project last month called Bedtime Stories.
Okay.
Basically, just a quarantine EP, man. Much like everyone. Just being stuck in the house, can't go anywhere, getting depressed, getting just in my own head, and it's like, well, I don't know what's happening with work. I don't know what's happening with anything. So let me just create. Like I wanted to put it out like pretty much right after I finished it, and then kind of all that George Floyd shit happened, and I didn't want to push a release on the back of a very, very sensitive time happening to our peoples. So kind of just that shit was just sitting in my Dropbox, and then one day I got the courage to put it out. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Nah, man. The vibes are definitely there. Audio Gibbs says peaceful vibes. KO says he needs that swing tutorial, man. You got that swing, nigga. And that's what I've always appreciated about your sound. Like you just got that, that I've always called it that Detroit kind of bounce. It's like it's like a bounce that I think us in Detroit share, where it's like that lag, but it's just like it keeps you on the beat, it swings you a couple different ways, but it always lands you on the one. Let's go back to the jump. Like, where did you start from? Where did you get your musical chops from?
Pretty much like just when I was a kid. My older brother, pretty much just raised me on a diet of hip hop and underground hip hop mostly. And when I was 12 or 13, something like that, I heard Like Water for Chocolate by Common, and in particular, there was a joint on there called Nag Champa. Now this was before I knew who Dilla was or anything. Like I think the album credits just had him listed as the Uma.
Yeah.
So
which was the collective with him and Q-Tip and all of them. Yeah.
Ali Shaheed.
But
I found out many years later, as far as that album, like it was basically just Dilla.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I heard that song and I started Yahooing. This was before Google really caught on. Just how to make beats, and I always wanted to make stuff that that I like listening to, and at that particular time, like I was just really, really big into just that sound, but I didn't know how to do it. You know, so you kind of make do. You know, I was making like these knockoff DJ Premier beats that I thought were crazy, but weren't. And
all our earlier beats are shit, you know.
right, bro, like it,
Well, like not nowadays. Like I feel like nowadays it's like people just get construction kits and just put them together, right?
yeah, man, a lot of these kids that I come across hearing now, like, dude, like, this is my first or my second ever beat, and I'm listening to it, and it's like it's not that good, but man, like compared to my first 20 beats, like Jesus Christ.
Like it can like even if the beat's not that good, you can imagine like some of these young niggas jumping on that and that becoming a #1 viral hit.
There you go, for real. But as far as like the swing thing, actually the what kind of cracked the code for me, um, like this is back when niggas was still on primarily MySpace,
Yeah.
and I sent a DM to Mocha Only, like way back, and I just asked him straight up, like, dude, how do you get that sound? Like, you get the swing, and I've been basically trying to do it for years, and I just can't figure it out. And he flat out told me, like, well, first off, like, don't quantize your drums.
Mhm.
And he told me, like, listen to jazz, like it's very free flowing, and a lot of it's really in the hi hats, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
and using like the velocity and everything. And once he told me that, and I started, like, I was in college, and I bought an MP, or not an MPD, an M Audio trigger finger. It was like my first drum pad, and like I felt so hip hop using that shit. But I could finally like get some velocity and shit out of my hats, and
Yep.
and kind of just everything changed once I figured that out. And now when I'm listening to all these listening to all these Dilla records and some of these Pete Rock joints and so forth, that I just couldn't figure out how they got that bounce. It's like, oh, so that's how they did it, you know?
Well, like even then, it's like they did it that way, but you did it in a different way too, right? Like you using different kind of technology. I'm pretty sure they use like some ASR or a fucking MPC,
Yeah, like the
fucking
equipment.
2000. But
Yeah,
like
the equipment
the concept
that
is the same.
the equipment everyone was using was different, but just the general philosophy of making a beat or structuring a beat, or getting a certain type of bounce. And
Yeah.
that applies to almost anything that you can use in the market right now.
Most
So
definitely.
it's much like everyone. You kind of, you take little pieces of all of your influences, and you try to figure out a way to make it your own. I mean, I probably spent the first 3 or 4 years of my quote unquote career, like getting angry that, motherfuckers were calling me a Dilla clone, you know,
Mhm.
and, you can kind of let it upset you, but as time goes and you get older, and not just that, you kind of just expand your horizons. Like, when you're looking for records, originally you're literally just looking for a 5 second or a 10-second piece of a sample just to chop. But then over time, at least for me, it's like I'm actually just listening to these records just to appreciate them,
Yeah.
and you're just learning more about structure and just things that you like, and so forth. And you eventually make it your own. Like, I couldn't tell you what the Eloquent sounds like, but apparently people can sort of tell it when they hear it. And that's a hard thing to do, to get your own sort of signature sound.
I think that has a lot to do with, you know, your consistency putting out stuff and just who you attach your shit to, right? How, like, you know, if you know Odyssey jumps on your shit, Marv One, or whichever MC kind of just jumps on your shit, you know, you still have the same style. So their fans come into it, they hear that shit, they hear your style, they hear your other shit, they associate it with that style. It's like you got to do shit for there to be a sound
I
there, right?
mean, and we were kind of talking about it before, you know, like some of these producers, you know, just inherently have a lot of range and can go through a few different sounds. And there's the quote unquote type producers, you know, like on YouTube or SoundClick, you know, hitting you with the Dr. Dre type beat or the yada
Which,
yada yada type beat,
yeah,
which, you know, like, you know, we, like, a lot of producers look down on, and I get it, but at the same time, there's kind of something to be said about being able to do more than one thing. For me, um, it just has to make sense with kind of who I am.
yeah,
Like, I've attempted to do trap and other stuff before. Like, I dabble in like house and some more up tempo stuff here and there, and you know, it's fun to experiment, but
it's just
ultimately,
dabbling. That's
yeah,
all it is. Just
for sure.
dabbling.
But ultimately, I enjoy making the type of music that I do, you know, and I'm a very
at,
strong
at
believer.
least when you're putting it out commercially, that's what you like to do,
No
right?
doubts,
Like
no doubts.
in
And but
yeah,
uh I've had A&Rs and record labels tell me that I need to do X, Y, and Z and alter my sound in order to be more successful or more profitable. And you know what? Maybe they're right. But for me, it's, you know, I never want anything circulating that I'm not 100% invested in and stand by. You know, so you know, I could put out a track record, and as long as I personally fuck with it, then you know, I don't have any issues doing it. But you know, I never want to do something just to do it while secretly hating it at the same time. You know.
yeah, no, real shit. Like I feel like us as musicians, especially when we put it out commercially and we got a lot of eyes on us, it's like you want to look back in 5, 10 years and be proud of the shit you put out. You don't want to look back and say, ugh, I hate that time in my life. I hate that music I made. Right. So you always got to put your best foot forward and make sure whatever you're putting out is like what you believe in. You know what I mean? What you believe in, what you
I
feel is
mean,
true to you and authentic to you.
and I mean, I'm sure that you've put out records before where you've kind of looked back and you're like, man, I should have, I should have done this with the drums, or should have done some more compression
Oh yeah,
on
but
this
yeah,
sound.
that's
Yeah,
that's just more technical shit. But in
yeah,
terms of content and in terms of what I wanted to put out, I've always put out what I wanted to put out. Like
absolutely,
there's
absolutely.
nothing I look back on like there's times I look back on like wow I was a savage back then, but I'm not ashamed. I can't be ashamed of that shit. You know,
Yeah, and
it's
that's the
me.
thing. And I've had conversations with a lot of people who like who've told me in private that it's like, yeah, like I put out this record and like this shit was bullshit. I didn't care about it, yada yada yada. I mean, I'm sure they cared about the check, and honestly, more power to you. Like I can never, you know, look down or talk down on someone who did something to, you know, support themselves, support their family, and so forth.
Yeah,
So it's weird. Like the 13, 14-year-old version of me would have looked down on people for selling out. But you know, like I'm 33 and I have bills, and and I can appreciate just kind of making a living through making music. That's beautiful, you know. But you know, but I guess just for me, um, I think I kind of got to the point where, you know, I tried playing the game the the typical way, so to speak.
Yeah.
And maybe it's an indictment on the people that I was working with or trying to work with rather. But I just got annoyed, and I kind of just said to myself one day, like, you know what? Like, I'm trying to play by other people's rules, and I'm still frustrated. I'm not getting paid, and you know what? Fuck it. Let me just do my own thing. I'll put out my own records with my name on it. You know, like I'll do my sloppy offbeat drums or whatever, and you know, there's it'll have its own market, and you know, and if and whatever happens happens. You know, so that's kind of just been my philosophy, and while you know, as I get older, I've I've kind of learned to adapt more and sort of just expand what I do and not be just super experimental in left field just for the sake of being left field.
Mhm.
You know, the main philosophy hasn't changed. It's just I'm making shit that I like, and you know, whoever is with me, great. And if not, then you know, I'm sorry, my music isn't for you. You know.
Like, I feel like you are one of the people that's kind of like, in terms of, what you were saying earlier when you got your MIDI kind of trigger pad, you was going crazy with it, and it took your live game to a different level. You could perform the tracks that you produce on a record and shit like that. So how have you a lot of people look at you as like a live beat maker, like in that genre of people, just because it's like, when you're a producer dropping an album mainly of beats, it's like, how do you produce that, or how do you produce a show on stage, right? So can you take us through how you do that and how you do your live shows and how you've been able to sustain doing live shows with what you do?
Yeah, I mean, as far as as far as the records, first and foremost, I mean, it's kind of a different energy to it. You know, when when you're making just an instrumental record versus a beat for rapper A or singer B or whoever,
Yeah.
you know, like I can kind of just get as crazy as I want to. Like sometimes, you know, when I'm working on a track and I'm putting in crazy layers. If you saw some of my like FL Studio session files, like some of these joints have like 40 different like channels on
Layers
them,
on layers.
just layers on layers. But you know, I've tried sending some of those same beats to certain artists, and they're like, "Yo, this is dope," but like I don't have room to rap on the shit.
Yeah,
You know?
where do I fit?
So you know, so sometimes I have to kind of take more of like a minimalist approach when I'm working with artists.
Rick Rubin it.
Exactly, but you know, when I'm working with someone else, it's like the focus is them. Like I'm kind of the background player. Like I'm supposed to
Mhm.
accentuate what they do, not try to get myself over and outshine the artist. You
Yeah.
know, and that's kind of one of those things that you don't realize, or maybe you don't care enough, like when you're younger. But you start to realize that you kind of do the artist a disservice when you're trying to get too crazy. But as far as the live thing is concerned, you know, I didn't even really know that that was a thing. Like as far as I knew, as far as hip hop is concerned, you either rapped or you DJ'd. Like those were the only two avenues as far as playing in front of a crowd. And but I think just around the time, and it was around '07, '08, and you know, like Cats Out in LA, you know, had sort of had a whole different like beat scene. Like people were paying money at the door to just listen to people play beats and just push buttons, you know. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Like this is perfect. Like I can do what I want, and you know, I can I can get paid. I can sort of travel the world and travel across the country, meet people, see things, while not really compromising what I do. So the live set's always a little bit of a work in progress, like perpetually. So you know, I have like my SP 404 where I'm triggering beats. I've got samples on pads. I'm playing it. I have an iPad that's lined into it where I might be playing a drum loop on the 404, and I might be playing like an iPad synth app or something. Um, and it's really just whatever seems fun. I mean, I'm mostly just trying to entertain myself when I get on stage and just hope that other people find it entertaining too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's tricky because it's never going to have quite the same energy as a nigga getting on stage and actually rapping. And sometimes it's kind of it sort of leads me into a bunch of these situations where I'm getting booked to play beats on a card full of rappers, or a couple times they've had me open up for rock bands, which is really really weird.
Yeah.
Oh, I did a gig in
They got you
Hamilton.
opening up for Billy Talent and shit. Like,
Bro, they had me open up one time. This was a show in Hamilton, like 6 or 7 years ago. They had me open up, like play a beat set, open up for some rock band, and the stage setup was clearly designed for a rock band. So they didn't have like a DJ table or anything. So they kind of just had to improvise on the fly. Like they took two bongos and they put a wooden board on top of them, and they're like, yeah, like you think you can play your set on this, and I mean you've stood beside me before. I'm tall as fuck.
yeah.
Like this table is literally coming up to like my kneecaps, and and I'm staring at this thing and I'm thinking of like the back surgery I'm gonna have one day. Like,
Man.
and
Man.
bro, this was the first and only time in my career I ever played a set sitting down. Like that shit felt so awkward. Like, what am I doing here?
But that's the thing, my nigga. You don't have a stage plot, do you?
No, I do now. At the time,
At the time that was when you were starting out.
yeah, and that had never happened before. Normally, it was, hey, we want you to play. All right, cool. And like I get there, and I just assume that the venue just treats it like like any sort of like DJ, because normally I'm just plugging into the same DJ mixer or whatever. But a couple times, yeah, they literally had me playing like on top of the bongo, and it happened again somewhere else, and at that point, like I called my booking agent, my then booking agent at the time, and like, yo, let me update this tech rider real quick.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, you gotta let them know we need that shit, bro.
like, yo, like
That happened to me a couple times, bro. Like,
table got to be this high. I don't care if you got to like bring out milk crates or cinder blocks. Yo, like, I'm not breaking my back over the shit.
So you gotta do, bro. Yo, that's crazy. Like, I think the greatest thing about going to different places and performing and reaching different people and like that whole experience is like it's like a learning experience. You
For
get
sure.
to test different crowds, get to see what works, what doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, so even when you do get like a crowd that's like milky white, like you can still figure out what you can do to appease them. You know what I mean? Like, let's
It's
say
a
if you chopped up one of like a famous rock track they knew or some shit.
it's a fun challenge.
They
It's a
get in
fun
that.
challenge in trying to and just trying to adapt. And like you said, I'll play. Like I remember just being on tour and playing a gig in it might have been Chicago or something.
Yeah.
At a primary like beat function, and niggas was going crazy, and the interaction, and like you step off stage feeling like a rock star, and then I remember playing like the next day in like I don't know, it might have been Minneapolis or something, and you know, and like the same sort of parts of the set that everyone went crazy on the night before, but them niggas don't care,
Yep.
So good. Like I used to keep like a folder in my live set, and I titled it "Tough Crowd." So like like I'd keep some joints, I'd keep some mixes, like some goodies in there that at least I felt would work. And,
That's very smart. Like
and, and
I feel like maybe that's something you should any person should adopt, even like an artist should adopt. Just have a tough crowd set.
it's bailed my ass out on a couple occasions. Like I did a jam. I want to say like 5 years ago, maybe. Like this was a New Year's Eve party in Montreal, headlined by Kate Trinata, and this was like right at the very sort of beginning of his ascent to like superstardom. Um, yeah, but they had me play, and interestingly, I got to play like during the countdown, but like I just had a bad feeling about that show all day because I'm used to playing in front of like primarily like beat crowds, hip hop crowds, and this was more of like a like this was more of like a festival sort of thing, and so like I just have a bad feeling about it all day. And on the train ride to Montreal, I decided to create that folder, like just in case. And so like I get up on the stage to play, and I'm just looking into this crowd, and there's probably 3,000 to 4,000 people there, and it's like 90% like white girl wasted shit, you know. And so I'm thinking like I don't know if they're gonna fuck with this Dilla flip that I did, but fuck it, let's see what happens. And like I play like one of my joints, and the level of silence that you can hear in like a warehouse full of like 3,000 people, like no one's moving, no one's reacting to the shit at all. And then I'm like, well, okay, tough crowd. Let's try this other joint, and even less noise. Like the white girls in the front row are like screaming at me to like play something they can dance to because I'm fucking up their Molly High and shit. Um, I start playing another joint. Like no one's moving, no one's feeling it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure someone from the crowd tried to throw a beer can at me. And that's when it's like, all right, let me jump into my break glass in case of emergency folder, and I think I played like some up tempo like Taku, or I might have I don't know, I played some trap or some other uh, like house or just shit that people can dance to, and people started to react and enjoy themselves, and it's like, thank God. I mean, I was probably one more Dilla joint away from getting tomatoed, but ever since that day, it's like,
Would have got hit like, yo, who the fuck brings tomatoes to the club?
right, like I would have made history, like first nigga to get tomatoed in like 10 years, or however long it's been since people were like throwing tomatoes.
I feel like it's been pretty pretty recent.
I would imagine, but but that whole night was probably the biggest like learning experience that I could ever have. That not and whether you're rapping or singing or DJing, just you can't automatically assume that whatever that any crowd will gravitate to what you're doing, you know.
For sure.
Like sometimes like you're legitimately going to just get booed.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's, and in a roundabout way, I kind of feel like everyone needs to kind of get booed, or at least criticized at least once to sort of understand that lesson. But then since then, it's like, you know, I try to just be prepared for anything since then.
Right. I don't think I ever been booed, but I've had no response one time, and it really hurt me. It fucked with my mind. Like it was one of like the worst no responses. It made me go so hard, and like made my performance game so hard. Like I was
Right.
really pissed me off. I was just like, no one's paying attention to me. Like, made me have to like jump on shit. You know.
Yeah, and you have to kind of like fight the temptation to like get on the mic and like scold the crowd. Like, what the fuck's wrong with y'all?
Yeah, that's mistake number one. Do not scold the crowd. Bro. I've seen certain niggas scold the crowd. It never works out. How can you scold however many people in the room? Anything more than you is bad.
I mean, yeah, I've never ever seen it go well. It usually just leads to just like more apathy and people like not caring.
The only niggas that get away with that are comedians.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then you have to be at like a certain level of funny in order to rebound from that shit.
Right.
Because I've been
like
to a couple,
George Carlin funny. Like.
Right. Like I've been at a couple comedy jams with just like local folks, and you know, and them trying to like roast the crowd back to sort of win them over.
People were like, nah, you're not big, you're not famous, nigga. You ain't Chris Rock, nigga.
You're not
Chris Flop,
nigga. You're not Russell Peters. Like he can start like snapping on the crowd, and you can't.
Right.
Right.
Nah, like I remember Russell Peters snapped on me. Like I remember do you remember Stylus Awards?
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, I remember I performed for a Stylus Awards, and then I got an award like mixtape of the year shit. So I got that shit. Fucking then I got off stage. Like all my niggas came on stage, so because we came deep. We're just like, yo, we won something, like, And then fucking Russell Peters comes on after. He's like, yeah, give it up for Wu-Tang. It was like, yo, nigga gotta diss me, bro. Like, like, come on, bro. Like, I checked him after. I'm like, oh, y'all diss me on stage. He's like, come on, man, you know my job. Like it's just compliments still, but like what the fuck. Well, yeah, shout out Russell.
I had to happen at your expense.
Had to happen, we're all. Yo, it happened to me again. Like I was at Africa versus Jamaica battle or something like that, and I got into it with White Yardie and fucking Major Hype, and I'm about to go on the little diss war, Comedians always think they can pull one on me. I have to bat them up. But yo, let's play one more joint from you, and then let's go into the beat vault and play a couple beats before we gotta get out of here.
Okay, let's go.
What else do we have in the vault from EQ?
We have a bunch of tracks. Any preference, Elaquent?
Let it fly, whatever you want.
Okay.
Let's get it. That's just smooth as fuck, my nigga.
Thank you.
What is that one called?
That joint was called For You Anything. That was off that Bedtime Stories EP that I mentioned.
I'm gonna be riding out to that one tonight.
What's that?
I'm gonna be riding out to that one tonight after the Raptors win Game 7.
That's what's up. Funny thing about that joint, I mean, I guess I kind of mentioned it on the on the session and shit before, but that, like, literally 10 minutes after a certain session and event ended, like this was right after I heard that full soundtrack play like get in his slowful bag,
Yeah.
and I immediately made that shit afterwards.
Oh, nice,
So
nice, nice,
I
nice.
owe that nigga a thank you card.
Oh yeah, no, no, he's definitely inspirational because I'm feeling like after that beat thing, like I went on a whole beat making tear. I made like 10 beats in the last like 3 days. Bro. I've been
That's what's
cooking.
up.
I
That's
don't
what's up.
know.
Yeah, and
I
that's
might even play a beat today in the fucking beatbox thing. I might as well throw a beat. I haven't played no beats ever on this show. I don't think. I think
right.
once. I don't know. I'm weird like that. But like, yeah, nah. Shout out the soundtrack, man.
Crazy. Yeah, and that's kind of why I like going or doing the session and thing. It's just fun to basically just beat cipher with folks, man. And I get I personally get more inspired listening to just new shit from the homies and people that I've actually met and interacted with than some of the super famous folks who kind of everyone seeks influence and inspiration from. It's always coming down to the homies.
Yeah, real shit. Yeah, shout out Quackish. Quackish was in it too.
Yeah,
Quackish,
yeah, he had some
Quackish
heat
played
in
some
there.
fire. I think Quackish played some fire that he played in here. Like I think I heard one of those beats before. I was just like, "Ooh, this
Yeah,
niggas gonna love this one." Like, shout out to Quackish. I think he probably got some new today. Let's go to the beatbox. Martine, who we got up first?
We have audio games
All right.
with 04 have to 88.67 BPM slash C minor MP3.
What kind of Elon Musk's son's name is that? Yeah, that show's hard.
that was fresh, man.
That should remind me of the '80s.
I mean, I used to really hate that 80s sound with like the cheesy synths and so
Like
forth.
when
And
the stabs.
yeah, and I don't know, it just somewhere along the last like I don't know 6 or 7 years, like I really grew to love that sound. So yeah, no, I definitely fuck with that.
Yeah, I like it. It reminds me of like something I would actually hear like Nas on.
Right?
Like I feel like not that's like Nas's kind of shit, like crack selling in the '80s type beat,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
'90s throwback to '80s shit. Like I feel like the firm could have been on that. Like you know what I mean? Like for that
Absolutely,
track that was
100%.
Nas on, the firm could have been on that one. But yeah, I liked it. It had that like kind of flashy fly kind of feeling. I could even see in terms of a new school nigga. I could see like what's his name? Diddy's son, Christian Combs. If
Oh
Christian,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I could see him on there because he likes doing a lot of like throwback to like Mace type shit. You know what I mean? So I could see him doing some shit on that. But yeah, it was I enjoyed the beat. It was kind of flying, flashy, and it had that kind of like flair to it. I think just a mix. I don't know if it's Zoom that's kind of playing it choppy. I think Zoom's fucking up today. Usually I hear joints more clear. I don't
No,
know.
I feel you. Like that's
But yeah,
some like that's some like someone flipped some like Vice City shit,
yeah, yeah. Feel like playing that game. Fuck.
right?
If only the graphics were better, man. I
Mm,
can't even look at those games anymore. They hurt my eyes.
bro, man, I've been like this whole lockdown. I've been on primarily like a retro kick. Like I've barely, I barely touched my Xbox. Like I've just been back in like my PS1 and 64 bag. Like
Oh,
the
when you're going back to those games, it's different.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still running N64 Mario Kart, bro. Like we
Classic, forever
Smash,
classic.
Brothers.
Smash Brothers, niggas still untouchable.
Bold statement, my G.
Bold statement, but one to be tested.
Okay.
Let's get into the next. Let's get into the next one.
We have Quackish with so much 70 dot wow.
Yeah, that's quackish.
So much quack.
So much. So much. So much. So much. So mean. So mean. So mean. All the time. So much. So much. So much. So much. So mean.
Nice,
That's hot.
nice. I fuck with that. I think the chops were dope. The sample was fucking fire. I feel like with the drums, when you take a sample that has drums on there, you gotta find a way. Well, the easiest way I do is EQing it and just putting a whole like I put like 100 EQs on there, and which each one I'm taking out the bass, everything like, I guess like I don't know, 40 hertz and under, or even more than that, like just taking out that whole bass just so when I put drums on that shit, that the drums of that sample is not interfering. Can kind of like put like the melody will be more present because a lot of the kick sits in that low end. If you want to like take some frequency off where the snare hits in the sample, like then you can start to put your drums in there, so then it doesn't make it feel like when you add your drums on there there's two drums kind of clashing, because I heard drums clashing on the sample, maybe because your drums weren't necessarily fit, like your drums are more to a grid, and the way you have the sample or it's chopped is gonna just
Split
probably
second early or
is
late.
going to be a split second earlier, right? So either you adjust your drums to like make it hit when those sample drums are hitting, so maybe your shit will be off at times, or you find a way to chop it better, so you move it to line your drums up because you don't want it to sound like there's two different drums hitting at different times. You want
It's
it to
a
sound like it's kind of like hitting, or like there's a little bit of offset, but like it just sounds natural because it
it's
sounds like it kind of like you just tacked drums onto the sample more or less. Doesn't.
it's a it's definitely a science to it. I mean, I've always really struggled when I'm flipping shit that already has like pronounced drums in it, especially if it's on like up tempo shit.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I hide it with, you know, basically I just put in more drums on it, but not even so much drums, but like just different types of percussion.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can sort of disguise it, where or maybe you don't have the ability to properly EQ it out or so forth. But instead of kind of just doing a simple kick, the hat, snare, like I'll like usually to compensate, like I try to be like extra creative with the hats and the percussion,
Mhm.
and and sometimes it just comes off as like, oh, like the percussion is really cool, and really I'm just trying to disguise the hats. So yeah, there's tons of ways to do it. I might need you to show me that EQ trick sometime.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's just shelving, man. Just
Yeah, so
shelf the bass, shelf all the low end, and just so the point where it's like you hear like more of the melody than the actual drum. I mean, and then keep on putting that EQ on there.
I guess it also depends like how you chop the sample. Um, because I know that like a lot of producers, kind of like to chop things into 16s and and kind of just sort of play the chops one by one. And I always kind of just take just specific parts of the sample that I just feel will work. Like I
Yeah,
might sample something 6 seconds into a beat and then have another chop from something 3 minutes into the beat and so forth.
yeah,
Sometimes I get certain chops that sound really clean, but then certain chops that just have a ton of stuff going around, and I have to like really be creative and figure out how to make it all like seamless.
yeah. I would say only do it on the ones that have drums, and then the certain parts of the song that are drum free that just have the melody. You can put that on a separate channel where you can have effects on that
Oh
and
yeah, for sure.
manipulate it how you want, right? But like, yeah, it's worked wonders for me because I feel like that's even how a way like how how there used to be those acapella. You'd search for acapellas on YouTube and you'd find those ones where you could still faintly hear the music in the
Yep,
back.
hundred
Like
percent.
that's the same kind of concept the technology uses, or like there's even there's apps or programs out there that turn certain this shit into acapellas, but like
Man,
obviously
a
you
homie of
faintly
mine
hear it.
told me that apparently he found, and I guess the latest version of like virtual
That's
DJ.
just dope.
Yeah, you can like really
Mhm.
isolate just the vocals, and apparently it works really well. And that's kind of a program that I've always sort of perceived as kind of a joke, but shit, they're onto something, so I might have to check that.
True. Don't know. Okay, let's get in the next beat.
We have Kayo with launch beat September 11, a mix.web.
Shout out to Cairo.
Away from life now, all alone. I let him take it away. Take
Nice, nice. I like that chop.
Will the way the bass slides, I really fuck with that.
Yeah, bass sounded good on it. Like the chop. It's kind of it was like I wanted to hear like something more than just the chop because I feel like because I use gross beats so much, Like I know the gross beats affects you. It's like I'm just like I know what affects you. So I just want to see them done a little bit uniquely. But that's just me personally. I think on the outset, it's a dope beat. Like it just sounds good.
I thought it was cool. It was cool how he kind of like dropped the like the sample like semitone like sort of halfway through.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so just I mean anything that sounds really unique. I'm always a sucker for like for piano sample flips. Like it seems like easy, so to speak,
Oh, half done. Okay.
but yeah, but you always get so much emotion out of that sound.
Hmm.
So I definitely really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, it's dope. And oh, it's half done. Oh, okay. So then, shit, disregard what I said. Then yeah, you're about to finish it. Add some more shit to it. What do I
Fire though.
suggest adding to it? Um, I don't know, nothing specific. Maybe a unique kind of like high pitched sample to go with the vocal sample and the hook while it's going or something, or maybe at some point like kind of filter the sample or something like that to add some variety of what you're hearing or some shit.
Like
Mm.
if that exact beat was sitting in like my session, I probably maybe at some point would, just as like a bridge or something, like maybe do like a wah wah like filter on the sample. But I mean, I've always been in love with that effect.
Hmm.
But honestly, like I don't really have much to add. Like I really enjoyed that
Yeah, it sounds dope already. Yeah,
for sure.
thank you, bro.
We have one last beat from Quackish.
All right, let's get it.
Taking over the streets.
That was
All right.
fresh, man. I like that.
That was a nice chop. It
Very
was a different kind of chop. It was like
definitely.
a bit.
Um,
Mm.
definitely. I like that sample. Um, you know, that's one of those joints that you would kind of like hear someone like tell a story on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if that's like a finished, completed beat or kind of still one in progress, work in progress. Only thing I'd say, I'm a sucker for it, but um, maybe just needs a baseline. Um, but I think that's probably like the biggest thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it was missing some kind of baseline to kind of like just carry it a little bit. You know me, guys. I'm a sucker for bass lines. So there's no bass in it. I don't know. I'm just I'm still hearing it, but I'm just almost not rocking with it in the same way. So I think some kind of bass line would just accentuate it better. But Quackish, I always tell you, man, add some bass to your shit. Like you always use the bass of the sample. Add some bass, bro.
I mean, sometimes you can get away with just kind of jacking up the low end, and
Yeah, sometimes.
if you're sampling something that already has like a really playful bass line in it.
Look, Martine's auditioning for you right now. And
Actually, yeah, man, like a cool like slap bass could sound really really fresh on that. But I mean,
yo, bro, I'm gonna send you some shit right now.
but I
If
mean,
these niggas don't want to work with you, don't worry, I will. I got you.
but I mean, sometimes it doesn't even need to be on some crazy playful like Kev Brown type shit. Like sometimes just just a couple bass notes in there can really really go a long way.
Man said Martin gonna do the Seinfeld over the beat.
It's actually keyboard. It's an a
Yo,
thing.
you could do the Seinfeld.
It's a chord keyboard. Keyboard. It's not a bass. It's a sample. It's played on the keyboard.
Yeah, but can you do it on the bass?
No, fuck no way, man. It's like
Oh.
too hard. I can fake a little bit.
It's not that hard. Should it be that? I don't know. I can't play it. So.
I can fake that a little bit, you know.
Close enough.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a horn. Sorry.
You ever try and like when you're making a beat, you ever try and do one where you just do the bass first and then everything after?
Yeah. A lot of
I-
times, yeah.
I mean, I was always kind of like do the melody or the sample first, then the drums, then everything, and I've kind of since evolved. I don't know if evolved is the right word, but I usually just do the drums first and then everything after. But lately, I've just been experimenting. Like, man, let me just hop on my keyboard and just fuck around. And if I
Yeah.
can come up with like a half decent bass loop, I mean, I could do some crazy things.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of times now it's melody first, just because I feel like even if it's something that I can't get the right drums on, I could just send it to one of those heavy hitters to get
Frank
the
Dukes.
drums right. Frank Dukes, exactly. Frank Dukes would be sending me the sample. What do you mean? But yeah, or just I can reuse it if I somehow get better drums. A lot of my older beats now, I'm because I got better drums. I'm like taking them apart, taking out those old whack drums that I felt like weren't banging enough.
Oh, that's a very like underrated thing. That producers I try to tell them as much as I can. Like never like I'll start making a beat that's trash, and and I think a lot of producers will just delete it and try something else. Like I never delete a beat. I always save it,
Oh.
and then one day, 4.5 years later, when I'm looking for something else, I'll come across that old trash beat, and I'll be like, well, yeah, this shit's still garbage, but this melody, like I can do something with it.
Right.
Or this drum loop was dope. I just fucked up everything.
Yeah,
You like I love
Rework.
getting my like plastic surgery on and like saving old beats.
right. Bringing them back to life. It's Frankenstein, and like
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like I've sold a couple beats like that, just old shits that I made like 09, 2011 shits that I just put newer drums on there, put a new, gotta give them the 808. Gotta give
Yeah.
they want that bouncy 808, that sliding 808, makes them feel like they're from Toronto. Maybe
Yeah.
put some pads on it, make it feel dark, like the weekends in the corner, and then boom, there's just like, oh wow,
yeah. It's man, especially when like someone would like hit me up like, dude, like can you remix one of these joints for me, or I need a beat, and I'll flat out like forget about it or some shit, and in a panic, like I'll just start going through like my old beats, just hoping that I got like an old dope one that I just forgot about, and then you just come across all these old session files that are just it's got so much potential. And some of them I just start them. It's like I'll know that it's dope, but I'm just not in the right mind frame to finish it or just make it dope. But the day will come. I don't know when that is, but the day will come when when this shit will be like valuable again. And
Yeah.
shit, even sometimes like I'll find some of these old beats that are trash, and I'll just take the drums off of them all together, and then great, now I got an intro on my next album.
Bet.
Or even like, I might just
I'll
take
go.
like just the sample that loops, and I'll send it to an artist and just tell them, yeah, just spit on
Spit
it
on it
like
and
on some like
then
Rock
add the drums
Marcy,
later.
like
Yeah.
no drum shit.
Yeah. No, that's that. Okay, for everybody in the group, everybody that's left here, that's the task for next week. Take a old beat that you made back in like I don't know what's the youngest of some of you in here, but a beat you made like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe, and nah, maybe 7 years ago because it's game seven. So 7 years ago, B you made 7 years ago. And then now, obviously, because you're a better producer now than you were before, let's see if you can add some newer kind of drums, some newer bass, some newer whatever, like update the beat, make it sound good. And then let's play it next week in the beatbox. How about that? We'll use that as a challenge for everybody. Accept? Good? All right.
Good.
Sound good. But yeah, that's actually what I'm gonna do this weekend. I'm going to go back into the vault, dig up some old shit, and put some new drums in there.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
an easy, quick way to just make some new heat, especially if you're kind of um like going through like a creative block, you know,
Hmm.
like
For
the
sure.
inspiration just isn't hit. It's not there. Just go resuscitate like an old trash beat and breathe some new life into it.
No, and it goes to I think Audio Gibbs said something like that earlier. He was like, "The shit wasn't." He said, "Your old shit isn't garbage. It's just like you didn't understand how to do it yet, or something like that." And you're right, Audio Gibbs. You're right. That was some early knowledge. I shout you out for that early knowledge
Yeah, and
in the chat earlier. It's real shit.
yeah, and just when you know more about just your DAW of choice or just production in general, and just your approach to that same sample or that same drum loop just completely changes. So so no, I agree. It might not necessarily be trash, but just something that you just weren't ready for at that time that you might be ready for now.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, my man. Ella, it's great to have you on this show, bro.
Well, thank you
Great
for having me,
rocking with
man.
you, man. It's great chopping it up. We always talk our shit. You know, it's always great to see like the shit that you like everything you do. You involve other people. You bring people together. You're a community man, and you're a guy that's like you're just doing your own thing. You're on your own wave, but you're successful in your own wave, and you show people like, yo, there's different ways to get it. And there's a lot of people that I know, like that even went through the remix program that are very inspired by what you do. Obuxum being one. She always cites you as an influence and shit like that. So, you know,
I love her to death, man. Like,
yeah,
she's super dope, and man, that's humbling, man. Like I I never I never set out making music to be the greatest to ever do it, or any of that cliche shit. I just wanted to do what felt right to me, and just sort of have the respect of my peers,
mm,
and I've I've done an alright job at that. I feel um, still gotta get some cats to notice me. Like I haven't met Socrates yet, and that bothers me. You know,
wow,
but
wow, yeah.
but that's some separate like bucket list shit. But yeah, no, I'm just
Yeah,
happy to kind of be
definitely bucket list.
right?
Yeah.
Him and like Mr. Attic, and man, like I have a weird like second degree of separation with like Cardinal Official, but I haven't met him either.
I
So
Bro,
feel
like
like
I met Cardi, I met Attic, and been here for like a year and a half.
just
Randomly.
flex on me
the
like that.
flex exactly like Martine with the late quarter flex. Like, oh, why? Why you gotta do man's like that?
No
And
big
you know,
deal.
and it's not even like I can link you up. It's just like I know them, nigga.
No, I don't really know them. I don't really know them. I'm just fucking. Just fucking.
I feel like Ella, I feel like you could just DM him, bro.
Probably.
You gotta know. You got enough followers, bro.
It's not even so much that. Like I never want to be that guy.
It's
who's
not,
like,
bro. It's quarantine times. You're never that guy.
yeah,
It's
no,
just like, yo, I have my shit, yo. You know, you have your shit. Let's collab. Like, you know, this is my world. You could get involved in my world. I could get involved. You know,
I think he would appreciate it, to be honest, man. Like, I'm pretty sure not a lot of people reach out to them in that way who are actually doing a lot of things who are relevant right now. Not just like looking up to them for what they have done in the past. It's just like,
it's not even about like, yo man, like listen to my music, or hey man,
it's just like
collab.
appreciation.
It's honestly just, dude, like I grew up listening to your music, and you know what you have done is a big reason as to why I do what I do now. But you know, I've always loved for those interactions to sort of come in an organic way where you kind of just cross paths with someone at a show or something like that.
yeah.
But no, I mean, you said it earlier. This is, you know, gotta shoot your shot sometimes. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Right?
It's real. It's real.
Dude, actually, Eloquent, one of my friends from Buenos Aires, he said, like, when I posted the flyer, he was like, bro, I've been following this guy for like 10 years. Like, I love his music. My
Crazy.
friend Gaslab from Buenos Aires. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Crazy how that works out sometimes.
Is it a man, a woman, or?
It's a man.
But it doesn't matter. You still got hoes in fucking Buenos Aires, nigga. 'Cause
You gotta go there, man.
that nigga's hoes belong to you. When you get there, when you get to town, he's of course sharing his home.
Bro, it's wild, man.
It's like coming to America, but it's coming to South America.
I pulled up to Brazil for a show like in 2018. You know, like them motherfuckers like treated me like I was Jesus when I got there, and so I don't know. It's kind of this weird dynamic of, you know, folks know who I am in Brazil. Like I go to Europe, and motherfuckers know my records better than me. But
You can definitely go to Buenos Aires, bro. Like, you can do Sao Paulo. We can make that happen post-COVID. Buenos Aires.
yeah.
Sure, man.
So I don't know. It's weird. I can kind of go to some.
Get
of
it.
those
I'll be your
places,
tour
but
manager. Let's get it.
Let's get it. It's wild. I can go to all those places and folks know who I am, but like
Meet the beat on the world.
nobody out here knows who I am, and I don't know. It's funny. I kind of like that dynamic.
Oh yeah. No, it's great, and it makes you. It it just makes the world already feels big when you're just like in a different place and you don't know nobody, but like then when somebody tells you about you, you're just like, wow. It lets you understand like this whole like in this whole world, this is who you connected with. It like the world is really fucking too huge to fucking comprehend.
Bro, when I was at my show, not to kind of keep delaying it, but when I was at my show in Brazil, and like this guy like approached me, and like nobody there knows any English, but like he was asking me if I knew who Mathematic was, and I damn near lost my mind, yo.
Yeah.
Bro, I'll connect you with the guys from the Loop Sessions in Buenos Aires, man. We started one before we did one here in Toronto. I'll connect you. They know Lu Piensa, the guys from Sao Paulo. Bro, those guys will like love your shit, man.
Yeah, I'm cool with a few of those cats, Kamala and some of them. Yeah, once this COVID shit, once we figure it out, there's moves to be made for sure.
Yeah.
No. Well, yo.
Go
EQ.
Raptors.
Go Raptors, go. Game starts at 9. I hope you all tune in. Thank you for tuning in to Meet the Beat episode. We don't even know how many. Go check out the YouTube. We have some of the past episodes on there. Just popping with past episodes with guys like Solitaire and David Strickland and who else? Laura Quest and Junior T and a whole bunch of dope producers that have made some dope shit. And we want to thank EQ, another dope producer that makes dope music. Just signed his new deal with Mellow Music. Congratulations. Hopefully you make a lot of guap. Hopefully you get to go on tour soon when everything resumes and you get to make a lot of money, because I know that touring money is some good money.
Hell yeah. Man, I gotta check that Solitaire episode. I was legit listening to Easy to Slip just the other day.
Oh yeah. We had to rinse that. I hope the powers that be didn't silence that part of it, because you know how YouTube.
Yeah, they're on some bullshit, but
yeah, they're on some bullshit.
Forever.
But that's Easy to Slip is easily my favorite joint of Canadian history. Like, I've never heard a joint that impacted me that much.
That'll be like a fun exercise that maybe I'll do for myself to try to just put together like a top 5. But that's
it's probably a hyper.
Release. I know it's a top 10 for me. Easily.
Yeah, I was probably exaggerating, but it's definitely up there. Like, it can't leave the top 10.
100%. I agree.
It can't. But yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man.
Martine, shout out our producer Martine, holding it down on the moderation, holding it down with the sound effects.
Bam.
Is that a sound effect?
It is now.
It's now.
Oh my God. Bleak Wave asks, how long do you spend composing? EQ, I don't know. I guess it's the last question before we go.
Honestly, it depends. I've got some joints that I can knock out beginning to end in 25 minutes, but usually I kind of I might make like the core or the main beat in like 45 minutes to an hour, but I might spend the next week or so just adding bits to it in part.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I might wake up one day and decide, you know what, a cool like Rhodes chord progression might work great here. But if I'm tasked to do one beginning to end, I'll be conservative and say about an hour and a half.
Okay, bet. Good. That's a good accurate time. Thank you for the question, Bleak Wave. One more beat? Nope. Sorry, we can't do that.
Hold on. So also, Bleak, I think you share your Logic folder, bro. Just share an MP3 next time if you can. Just like a Logic.
Come on, Bleak. Well, next time. Martin got to get out of here. Plus, I want to go get ready for this game. I have to get pre-drunk. So that if any chance we do lose, I'm already drunk. So it's, I won't feel bad for throwing a fucking
it's covered in window.
But we will win, though, because go Raps go. Thank you guys for joining us on another Friday of Meet the Beat. We'll be back next Friday with a new guest, talking about production, music, and just a whole bunch of bullshit. You know how we do, taking your questions and then playing some of your beats and just vibing. You know how it go, man. EQ, thank you again for joining us. Martine, thank you for holding us down once again. Everybody in the chat, everybody that threw in some beats, thank you. We'll see you next week, bro.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Well, this is not gonna get played. Like silence from this point on.
Baby, can't you see I'm calling?
Enough.
Bro, your background was like dancing in tune with that shit too.
Right? My nigga. Okay, this bitch is a little offbeat though. She wildin'. People were like, yo, she on a Molly. Like, chill, man. Bitch dancing to Cindy Lauper in her head.